Hey everyone! Today I want to go ahead and share with you just some recent stationery acquisitions. This basically includes like some things that I received for Christmas as well as my birthday, which was in January, gifts from loved ones, and then also like random stuff that I purchased myself. So I have a feeling I have quite a bit of stuff to share in today's video, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. I want to go ahead and start off with notebooks just because I've kind of been obsessed with like purchasing new notebooks and journals. So the first two journals here are from the brand Chronicle books, and they have ones that are themed around like Studio Ghibli movies. Now, last fall was the very first time that I had ever watched Kiki's Delivery Service as well as Howl's Moving Castle, and I have since been very obsessed with them. I love them very much. So when I saw these journals, then I knew that I instantly wanted to go ahead and pick them up. I just think that they're so precious and very charming. I love the artwork on the cover. I think that they're very beautiful. Now, these journals are lined and they do have like different colored pages. As you can see, they're very subtle and they're kind of like on the pastel side, but I just think that they're so beautiful. And some of the pages do have some little doodles of the characters from the movie, and every now and then they do have like some actual like concept art from the actual movie itself. So here's an example of that. I think that it just looks so sweet and charming, and I love that it's just like integrated in the journal itself, and they're just very precious and lovely, and I'm really looking forward to using these just for kind of like some more of like my personal thoughts and kind of like a diary. Then I'm really looking forward to using these for the Howl's Moving Castle. I do feel like they're pretty much like the same colors, although the Howl's Moving Castle one looks just a tad darker than the Kiki's Delivery Service from what I can tell. And yeah, it just has those little character doodles again, which I think are so cute. Oh, and it looks like they do come with a single written bookmark, which will be very perfect for journaling and just keeping track of the next free page that you have. And then once again, they do have these pages of kind of like the concept art scattered throughout the journal. So I'm really looking forward to using these. I think that they are just so very precious, and I do kind of want to get my hands on some of the other ones, but since I've been recently very obsessed with both of these movies, then I thought that these would be two good ones to start off with. The next notebook that I acquired was something that I really wanted to get upon launch, but I decided to wait until my birthday and decided that if it was still in stock, then I would purchase it. And that is this gorgeous Hobonichi notebook. And the name of the artist is right here. I'm not gonna try and pronounce that, I guess, but I just really love the art style of this. This came out with their 2026 planner launch back in September of 2025, but because I was kind of like in a lull buy at the time, then I didn't feel like it was necessary to pick this up. But I figured, you know, my birthday was in January and that would have been like kind of the end of my lull buy phase was my plan, and I am just so happy with it. I think that it's just so beautiful. I really love the artwork. And this is an A5 size, so the interesting thing is that it's obviously horizontal, and I've actually never used a notebook or like an A5 notebook horizontally like this. So I think it's going to be very interesting. As you can see, it just has like their light blue grid or graph paper. And I'm pretty sure that this is also like the Tomoe River paper, so I think that it'll be very wonderful to use like my fountain pens on, especially because that has been kind of like my writing utensil of choice when it comes to journaling is fountain pens. So I'm very excited to have this in my possession now, and I'm really looking forward to using this. And then another journal that has recently come into my possession is actually this super adorable A7 Midori notebook, and I just love it so much. I had no idea that they made notebooks this small. Just for comparison, here is my Hobonichi Hon, the A6 size, and here's the A7 next to it. It's basically just half of the A6 size, and I just love it so much. This was actually a gift from my sister in a recent pen pal, and I had no idea that she was actually going to be sending me this, but I was watching a JetPens video recently on like the stationery items that they had purchased, in 2025, and I saw that Emily had one of these to kind of like keep track of like her swatches, since she likes to use the Midori notebooks, and I thought it was so stinking cute. And then funny enough, a few days later, then when I checked the mail, then I saw that I received a pen pal from my sister, and this was included in the package, and so I felt like it was just meant to be. And the way that I've been using this is basically to just come in it like once or twice a day and basically just write like a little paragraph about my 2 cats. And so each page then I would just dedicate that to one day, and then on the top then I would write like about one of my cats in the morning and his behavior then, and then also just kind of like his behavior in the afternoon and at night. And then below that I would just come in and do the same thing for my second cat. And I've been wanting to do this for like a few months now, is just kind of have like a little area somewhere to basically write down like observations of my 2 cats. Just because we did go to like a recent annual checkup for them, and there were some minor concerns that I had, but like I couldn't quite recall like when they started, and so because of that it was making me want to better like keep track of when I noticed these things. And so I felt like it was just meant to be when my sister had sent this to me, and so yeah, I have just been using it ever since to basically write down like observations and behaviors of my 2 cats. And then finally, for the last journals that I purchased, I've been really wanting to get my hands on these ever since I saw that they came out. And those are the Leuchtturm 1917 411 page journals. So they are some very thick boys, and they've been pretty much out of stock like since they launched towards like the end of last year, I believe. So they finally just came back with the black covered ones with the dotted pages. I don't think that the lined or like the plain pages have been out of stock, but the dotted ones definitely have been. They do come in like a few other colors, but those are currently still out of stock at the time of filming this, and only the black ones are available. But I didn't mind that. I wanted a simple black one anyway, just because I feel like that's always very appropriate like any time of year. But as you can see, and if you're familiar with like a recent video that I've done, you might already recognize this one. I've pretty much used it to set up like a work bullet journal, and I feel like it's been going beautifully. I basically just wanted it to last like indefinitely past like 2026 and so forth. And then I picked up another one just because I knew that eventually I would want to use one of these as like a journal, just because I do like to keep a separate journal with me at all times where I can write down more of like my personal and deeper thoughts more in depth. And because I feel like I go through them so fast, I go through one of them maybe like every 2 or 3 months. I felt like this one should probably last me at least like half a year, if not longer. So I'm very excited to eventually switch over to this one like later down the road to do like all of my deep thinking and like diary entries and stuff. Now moving on to the next category, I feel like I've recently really gotten into stamps, and specifically, once again, Studio Ghibli ones. Now, this Kiki's delivery service was the first one that I had received. It was actually a gift that my sister had gotten for me when she went to Japan last fall, so I had no idea that these existed, but I absolutely love it so much. It just comes in this little clear packaging with a little sticker from the movie, and then when you open it up, it comes with 4 tiny little wooden stamps, which is so cute. But not only that, I think this is just so ingenious, but they also come with this little cover that you can take off, and then there's also an ink pad in between. I just think that that is so incredibly smart and innovative, and I just love it so much. It just makes it so much easier to like travel around with, because the case is like so small and portable, but then you have like everything that you need with like the stamps, and then also the ink pad, and then that little clear cover to keep it from drying out as well. I just think that it's just so creative and amazing, and I really wish that like just more stamping companies or like more stationery brands would come out with similar ideas like this. I just feel like no one's doing this enough. But yeah, I just love it very much, and I really love that there's Gigi in all of them. Gigi's my absolute favorite character from the movie, so I just love it very much. And so then I started doing like my own research, and then I saw that they also have like a Howl's Moving Castle one. I saw that they also have like My Neighbor Totoro and like some other Studio Ghibli movies and stuff, but they're very hard to find. I feel like I feel like I couldn't find it anywhere else aside from Amazon, unfortunately, but I really wish that these were more like readily available and easily accessible. But this one is obviously Howl's Moving Castle. I really wanted this because of Calcifer specifically. Him and Gigi are like my two favorite characters, and I just love them so much. But as you can see, it just comes in the same packaging, just in a like softer, kind of like amber brown color. But when you open it, then the ink is also a different color too. This one's more of kind of like a burnt sienna or like reddish brown type of ink color, whereas the Kiki's Delivery Service one is more of like a hot pink or like magenta one. So I think that they're just so cute, and I keep them in my pencil bag with me at all times so that I can just like randomly stamp these on the go. But I love them so much. Really want to get my hands on more of them, and just wish that more brands would do something like this. Now, I do obviously love that those two stamp sets come with their own ink, but I also just wanted to go ahead and get like a small black ink pad that I can also carry along on the go with those sets. So I finally picked up one of these Dewdrop VersaMagic ink pads, and I'm not going to open it because for some reason, I don't know if any of you experienced this as well, but it is kind of finicky to like get it back to shut completely. Like there's almost some resistance or like pressure. But anyway, I read that these are really good on like thin Tomoe river paper, so like in your Hobonichi books, and it doesn't like bleed through or show through very much on like the back side of the page. And I can definitely confirm that. I think that this ink works so well on the Hobonichi paper or Tomoe river paper, and I love it very much. The ink pad itself is extremely juicy, so I do really love using it with like these Studio Ghibli stamps. I do tend to switch between the two inks. Sometimes I will use the ink that's included in the stamp set. Other times when I just want like a normal black ink, then I'll just reach for this. Especially with like the Gigi stamps, I definitely want to have him be like the black cat that he is in the movie. So yeah, I have just been really enjoying stamping with these and just having these in my collection to add a little bit more interest and personality to like my journal spreads or like planning spreads. And then lastly, for stamps, I do have a few more like miscellaneous like wooden stamps, but as you can see, of course, going back to like the Studio Ghibli theme, I just love this little like Totoro character with that goofy smile. Like, it's just so adorable and I love it so much. And then, of course, Gigi with like the little fountain pen or a quill type of writing utensil. And then this random like cat expression that my sister had gotten for me in Japan. So I just really love these so much, and they work perfectly with that Dewdrop VersaMagic ink pad. So these are also something that I like to keep in my collection. So yeah, I've been really enjoying stamping lately, and just having like these goofy little characters to randomly stamp around like on my pages. Alright, so I saved the most exciting category for last, which are my fountain pens. Now this one here is my very first Lamy fountain pen ever. This is a Lamy All-Star in the mint, so it just has like this black clip, and then it also has like this dark green like transparent grip, and then also like a black nib, which I think is just very classic looking. And I'll be completely honest, like I wasn't sure if I would ever get a Lamy, just because I felt like for a long time I didn't find them very appealing looking. Like they just look kind of like standard and boring to me and not very like inspiring, I guess. But I do have a greater appreciation for them now that I actually have one in my collection, so please don't come at me. But yeah, I really like this a lot. I think that the color is very beautiful, and I do have this in a medium-sized nib. I think that it writes very nicely, and I don't have any complaints. I do think that it is very impressive that you can just kind of like pull the nib off and then like swap it with a different size like very easily. So I do really admire that about the Lamy All-Stars. I got myself one of these TWSBI Eco Tees. Now, I think like pretty much the only difference with the TWSBI Eco Tees is that it's more of like this triangular shape, whereas a normal TWSBI Eco is more of like a hexagonal shape. So here's the comparison to like my Amazonite Eco. But essentially I feel like they're pretty much the same. I think also like the grip section is just more of like a tripod grip, something like that. But personally, I don't really find it to be an issue, and they also come in like different colors than just the traditional Ego, and I feel like they're kind of around like that more like reasonable price range, where I know some TWSBI Egos, especially on like the materials of the clips and stuff, can tend to lean a little bit more expensive. But yeah, this is also in a medium nib size. This is the saffron color, and I really love it a lot actually. I've been reaching for this one quite a bit, and personally I just really love TWSBIs. I think that they are just very wonderful and beautifully made, but also like not breaking the bank either. So yeah, I'm very happy to have one of these in my collection. The next one being my very first Pilot Kakuno fountain pen, and you may have already seen me use this one as well as the Lamy All-Star in last month's video, like the journal setup one. But yeah, my sister gifted me this one as well. This is the Madarami pink color. And I just think that it's so beautiful, and it writes really lovely. It is a medium nib size, but I do find that it writes a little bit finer than the Lamy and the TWSBI medium. Just because for Japanese fountain pens, then they tend to run a little bit more on like the thinner or smaller size. So the medium size for this Pilot Kakuno is a little bit finer, but I do really like it still. I think that it writes very comfortably and very lovely. The only thing that I'm not really in love with about the Pilot Kakunos, and is honestly what's unfortunately deterring me from getting any more of them, is just the fact that it doesn't come with a clip. Just because I like to keep these kind of like on the outside pockets of my Delphonics bag, I don't want them to be able to like just fall out easily, and I much prefer it when they have a clip to at least hold on to the pocket. So this is something that I do have to kind of snuggle between like a few fountain pens to try and keep it secure in there. But that's pretty much the only thing that I don't like about the Pilot Kakuno, but everything else I really do love it. And then moving on to the second Lamy, this was again another gift from my sister, and this is actually like the Lamy Luxe, and it's in like the Marin color or like the brown color, and it's very similar to the mint one, just that it's in this like deeper brown body, and then it also has kind of like this bronze clip, but it does have a black transparent grip section, and then also like a black nib. But aside from the aesthetic differences, I do find that they write perfectly the same, and I don't have like any performance issues. Again, this is also in a medium nib size, and yeah, I really have no complaints about these. I do think that they are very lovely to write with, and I'm really happy to have these in my collection. Moving on to this one here. This is my very first gold nib fountain pen, as well as my first Sailor. So this is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and if you've been with me since like last spring, then you may remember that this was something that I had wanted to get for myself. However, my husband so graciously got this for me for Christmas, and I am just so very thankful. This is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim in the Sunlight from the Ocean Floor version, and I just think that it's so stunning. Now this one here is actually in a medium fine nib, so this one is quite thin, and like I was talking about with the Pilot Kakuno, since it is a Japanese brand, then I find that it is even thinner than I was anticipating, but I really like it actually. It's the fountain pen that I've been using to write all of like my daily journal entries in my Hobonichi, and I think that because it is pretty fine compared to the rest of my fountain pens, then it just works very beautifully and looks very lovely in those very small A6 grid pages. So I think that this has been very lovely, and it's very interesting. I do feel like you get quite a bit of like line variation when writing with this. Sometimes it can come off writing quite thin, and then other times when you apply just a little bit more pressure, then it can come out a little more bold. So I think that it has been so much fun to use, and definitely not like any of the other fountain pens that I have in my collection. And then the next fountain pen here is actually what I asked my sister for Christmas. It's one of the Schaefer VFM fountain pens, and this one is also in a medium nib size, but I just really wanted it because I thought the body looked very beautiful. It's supposed to be like coffee inspired, and I really love kind of like this rose gold or kind of like coppery like hardware on it as well, and it's the same color as the nib, and I think that the nib is so cute. It's supposed to be like a number 4, I believe, so It is pretty small compared to some of my other fountain pens, but I think that this one is really nice, and it doesn't break the bank or anything, but it's just been really fun to have in my collection, and I'm really excited to play around with this some more as well. And then the last two fountain pens were actually two that I got for myself for my 30th birthday this past January. So this one here is my very first Conklin 1898 fountain pen, and this one is specifically in the primary manipulation 5.0 body style, or like resin or whatever it is. I just think that it's so mesmerizing and extremely beautiful. I honestly just cannot stop looking at this. I think that it's so gorgeous, and pretty much everything that I love in a fountain pen, really. I just think that it's so beautiful and very interesting to look at. Now this one is in the silver like hardware. I'm not sure if it's still available, but they did have like a gold one that is significantly more expensive, but I went with the silver because I just really wanted it, like specifically for the resin. I don't really care for like the hardware and stuff. I have really been enjoying writing with this as well. I think that it writes very smoothly. I have no complaints. And honestly, even though it looks pretty big, I find that it's very lightweight and it doesn't like weigh down my hands or anything, which is something that I've talked about in the past, where I feel like if pens are a little bit too heavy, then I don't find them to be very comfortable. And then lastly, I of course had to get another Benu. This one is specifically their Talisman Foxglove. Now, as some of you may already know, I really love their Edelweiss one, which I have here. I just think that it's so beautiful, and when I saw the foxglove one, I just knew that I really wanted to have like both of these together. I don't know why, but I just really love kind of like the opposite sides of like the spectrum, I guess, where one of them is more of like this cooler, like aquatic look to it, and then the other one's more of like fire. I don't know, something like that, I guess. But yeah, I really love this foxglove one, and I think that it's just so much more impressive in person than anything that I've seen online, and unfortunately probably even in this video, but I think that is just so gorgeous in person. And the ink that I've been loving with this pen, that I think is just a very perfect match for it, is actually Diamine Caramel Sparkle. I really love the combination of both of these. I think that they just pair perfectly. Caramel Sparkle is kind of like an orangey, like fiery red ink, but then it has like gold shimmer in it, which I think really complements kind of like these metallic holographic flakes that are ingrained in the pen. So they write exactly the same, very perfectly, very smooth, and they're also very lightweight in the hands. So I just love them very much. Well, that does it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and that it wasn't like too long or anything. Let me know if you guys have any experiences with these products. I love hearing from you guys. And in case you're wondering why I didn't include like any inks and stuff in here, I do have like separate ink swatching hauls that are kind of like included within the like recent stationery acquisitions category, I suppose, but I didn't really want to like repeat all of them in here, so I'll go ahead and link like my most recent ink haul in the cards here for you if you would like to just kind of see like what new inks I've been trying out lately. If you would like to see any more like in-depth videos regarding any of these products in today's video, then please do let me know. I would love to do that for you if you are curious. Otherwise, thank you again so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.